What's up YouTube, Dad here from Zephyr, bringing you the test time video for the Pendulum Magicians as requested. So, as we all know, over the weekend at UDS, Pendulum Magicians did really well as at some other local events and stuff like that. Whether they'll do the exact same again, or if they're going to be able to be dominant between now and Spirals, or even after Spirals, that remains to be seen. There's definitely a strong deck in the TCG, and slightly relative cheap to build in the sense, but the cards that didn't come in the main set, stuff like Duelist Alliance and that, will be a little bit harder to get hold of and a bit more costly. Regardless, what we'll be doing is our free test hands going first and our free test hands going second to kind of show you what the deck can do. So without further ado, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not too bad on that one. Now, if we activate Double Iris Magician here in the bottom left of the scale, and then activate Duelist Alliance to search ourselves out a Star Pendulum Graph. The spell card, where are you? It's right at the top, there we go. Activate our Star Pendulum Graph. We then have the ability to activate Wisdom Eye. Use Wisdom Eye's effect to destroy itself and set Oath Magician. In doing so, Star Pendulum Graph effect goes off and allows us to add a Magician Pendulum monster from deck to hand. So we will add our Harmonizing Magician. Oath Dragon's effect can then go off to add Wisdom Eye back to our hand. But it's entirely up to you. So at this point, you don't need to add, let me zoom out a little bit more for you. There we go, I'll move the table up. You don't need to add Wisdom Eye back for the pure fact that if we wait a second and Pendulum summon out these guys, put Wisdom Eye up in the extra monster zone, use Harmonizing's effect to bring us out one of our other Pendulum monsters. Then if we were to sync with Harmonizing Magician, so if we wanted to, we could sync Harmonizing Magician with Wisdom Eye into an Omega if we want to. So if we do that, they'll both go to the extra deck, give us out our Cyframe Lord Omega. We can then use Omega's effect to pitch one from our opponent's hand, and they're now -1. We can then use Oath Dragon's effect to add back, depending on how you want to do this, Harmonizing Magician if you want to go for another Synchro, or Wisdom Eye if you want to go for an XYZ. Again, we haven't used our normal summon yet. So if you want to use your normal summon, you can normal summon Harmonizing Magician down and go in for a Synchro. If not, you can overlay these two up into the extra monster zone, go into your Time Star Magician, use Time Star's Magician's effect, search you out your Perform Power Skullcrabat Joker, normal summon Joker, Joker's effect to search out pretty much anything you want. You can search out another Wisdom Eye if you want, or you can go to Purple Poison. Entirely up to you what you want to search on that one. And then you set your Time Pendulum Graph down there. So you've got that to spring on your opponent during their turn, and then again you've got Time Star to protect these, so you can send a card as well. You've got Star Pendulum Graph to protect your stuff. Your other option, if you didn't want to take Skullcrabat Joker, is you could take your Astrograph Magician as well. If you wanted to take back a different one rather than Harmonizing with Oath Dragon, you could take back Wisdom Eye, but we can pretty much take both back by the time it comes back to you. That is a pretty standard, strong board to be coming up against, purely because it doesn't look like huge amounts, because you've got, oh, it's only a 24 beta, it's only a 1800 beta. But regardless of that, you've got a search card there, you've got a double pop card there, you've got a protector there, so there's absolutely loads this deck can offer you. Anyway, so that was test hand number 1 going first. You've got the defensive in play. Now we will do, plus you're going to get Omega back as well, and your opponent's only going to be starting with 5 cards instead of 6, so that's still very important. Now we'll be doing our second test hand going first and show you what we can do. So using KMC, not KMC, sorry, Ultra Pro Eclipse leaves. So the shuffling is so smooth on the hands. Okay, again, not too bad. I quite like having Purple Poison in my scale anyway. And then I can activate Duelist Alliance, and Duelist Alliance can then search me out pretty much whatever I really want. But because I've got loads of 1 scales, I'm going to need to be going for that Pendulum Call. Or if I wanted to, I could go into Luster. Luster would obviously pop Purple Poison and help me kind of extend my board a little bit more. So these are your 2 options, or my 2 options that I would say is go into a Luster or a Pendulum Call. If you go into a Pendulum Call, then obviously, yeah, that again, it's going to be your target for Ash. But it does give you those 2 scales that you need, protect your scales, and goes from there. If you choose to go to Luster, you'd put Luster in the scale, use the effect to pop Purple Poison, searching out another Purple Poison, and then you can set any one of these down in the scale that you wish, and then you can Pendulum summon all of them out because they'll be from scales 1 to 5, so you can get them all out on board anyway. I would personally go with Pendulum Call on the synopsis, or the sense that my opponent hasn't got an Ash or anything like that. It's the most logical one to go for. Anyway, activate Pendulum Call, put in White Wing Magician in the graveyard, searching us out are Black Fang and Harmonizing Magician. There we go. Put Black Fang in the scale there, and then Pendulum Summon. You can Pendulum Summon all 3. I always like to hold back what I don't feel that I don't want to have on the board as just a random monster. So you could go defensively and put Purple Poison there, put Harmonizing there, and kind of maneuver your way around it, because Harmonizing will give you another monster, so you put that in there. We haven't normal summoned, so you then get a Skullcrowbat Joker. Or if you wanted to extend more, you could do all of this, get out another monster, go into Omega, clear Omega off, overlay again into Time Star. So the play is doable, you'd just be empty-handed. It's entirely up to you on how you want to play this. If you want to hold one back, then this is where you do it. So, Harmonizing hits the board, use Harmonizing effect to search you out a Pendulum monster. So we go with Double Iris Magician. So this would be us being more defensive, or not defensive, more conservative with our resources, because in that sense we would then overlay these 2 up there for our Time Star. Time Star would then search us out. You could search out an Astrograph if you want, or you could search out your Skullcrowbat Joker, and then Joker can then search you out your Wisdom Eye for next turn, and you've got a +2 in hand. The other option, so that's one board, so you'd probably leave it like that. The other board would have been that our Dragon Pulse Magician would have been on the board. Skullcrowbat would be back in deck for now. Harmonizing would be there, and our Iris would be there. So we would then sync these guys up, so we don't lose anything. Go into an Omega, rip one from our opponent's hand, overlay these guys into Time Star, and then do the exact same kind of play. Get out your Skullcrowbat Joker. Normally your Joker, search out your Wisdom Eye, or you would then search out an Astrograph Magician. It's entirely up to you. And then in that case, you have the protection of your scales under Pendulum Call, but then you also have the effects of Time Star Magician to protect your Joker if you want to, and then your Omega is going to be coming back. So the difference is whether you have a Wisdom Eye in hand or whether you have 2 Pendulum Scales in hand. So again, that is entirely down to you on how you would like to take that one. Okay, so now doing our 3rd and final test down, going first. And then we can start being a bit more aggressive and start going for game with some of our plays. 2, 3, 4, 5. That does get a little bit better. Okay, so if we put Oath Dragon and then we put Wisdom Eye and then we let Wisdom Eye pop himself and set let's set Double Iris. Oath Dragon can then bring us back Wisdom Eye if we want it, or like we did in our first test, we can wait. Pendulum Summon out 2 from hand, 1 from the extra monster zone. And then we get Harmonizing's effect, which brings us out a purple poison. Again, you've got the exact same kind of play. If you want to sync these guys up and go into an Omega, rip one from your opponent's hand. You can then use Oath Dragon's effect to add one of these back to hand if you want, and then you can normal summon and sync up. Or if you want to get the Skullcrobat Joker play going, you overlay those, not Skullcrobat Joker, sorry. Yeah, Performer Power Joker. Go like that, detach one, search out your Joker. Normal summon your Joker. Joker searches you out another Wisdom Eye. And then you can kind of go from there, and you've got the hand advantage that way. It's entirely up to you. Obviously, if you add back Wisdom Eye instead, you won't need to search that out, and you can probably search out an Astrograph. But the options are there for you to kind of play with and mess around. Well, not mess around, but you know, it gives you the options. There are many other options, and it depends on how defensive you want to be, how offensive you want to be. Now, obviously, because these are test hands, I'm just showing you as far as each hand can kind of go. So there's different stopping points for how you want to go. Okay, so now it's time to go second and show you how aggressive the deck can be. So we'll start with our first hand of 6 and see how much that extra card makes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not too bad. So what we can do is, obviously our opponent's going to have monsters on the board. So what we want to do is, if we put Luster in one scale and use Purple Poison in the other scale, use Luster's effect to destroy Purple Poison. Searches out another Purple Poison. That Purple Poison goes off and destroys a monster our opponent controls. So that deals with 1 threat straight away. We're going all out aggressive. Obviously, you can hold back resources and stuff like that. Pendulum Summon 3 from hand and 1 from the extra monster zone. Harmonizer's effect will go off to give us an extra monster, so we'll go with Double Iris Magician. Then we would be, if we sync these guys up into an Omega, use Omega's effect to banish that and rip one from our opponent's hand if they have any left. Obviously you wouldn't make that play if they don't. Then overlay these two into Time Star. Use Time Star's effect, detaching this, to search out. You have 2 options here. You can search out Astrograph, Sorcerer, or you can search out Joker. If you use Joker, he'll get you an additional search. If you search out Astrograph, you just have to wait a little bit until the battle phase. Because then we would activate purple. So battle phase, declare an attack with either one of these, whichever one you want to choose. Then activate Purple Poison's effect to destroy itself. Yes, you could protect it with Time Star, but we give an extra 1200 there. Then we would then be able to special summon Astrograph, search out another poison if we wanted to, or you could search out anything else, like I said before, that's been destroyed this turn. That damage then goes through at 36. You can then attack with Astrograph for 25. And then attack with Black Fang for 17. You've then got the ability to set time Pendulum Graph, activate your other scale, and then pass turn. Then when it comes back to you, your Omega is going to be coming back into your main monster zone. You've got Time Star that's going to protect these two and these. You've then got that that's going to be able to send a card and destroy a card. So you have more than enough destruction during your opponent's turn, plus you've done huge amounts of damage with all of this, and you've popped 2 monsters with the Purple Poison Magician. So you can see how they can be quite aggressive and quite dangerous in the game states. Now let's go with our second test hand going second, and we'll see what this can do. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. So, you've kind of got the choice between Wisdom Eye and Pendulum Call in this scenario. This is kind of up to you. We've got Wavering Eyes as well that can be a bit more ability. Now we're going to go all out aggressive, so we'll normal summon the Joker. Joker will use his effect to search out Wisdom Eye. You don't have to search out Wisdom Eye. Obviously you could search out Purple Poison, which then leaves Pendulum Call to be live and active, but it deactivates Wavering Eyes because you can't destroy your cards. So that's kind of the options you have to that you can face at that point. But in that sense, you could then activate Pendulum Call, pitching Wavering Eyes because it is dead. In this turn, you could keep it if you want. It's entirely up to you. But we're going aggression, so we want as many kind of destructive monsters on board that we can get. Purple Poison into one scale and Black Fang in the other scale. Pendulum Summon 3. Use Harmonizing's effect to get you another one from deck. So we'll go with, let's go with this Double Iris just for now. Now again, you have the ability to sync and XYZ. Now if you sync up first, you'll be ripping one from your opponent's hand. It's just a bit more protective in this sense. So you would sync these guys up, they go there, Omega goes there, pitch one from your opponent's hand straight away. Then you have the ability to overlay these two here, go into Time Star. Time Star then detaches one and searches you out a Sorcerer. There we go. You would then be able to use Black Fang's effect to destroy himself, halving one of your opponent's attack, and then revive your Double Iris Magician. In the fact that you've destroyed that, you then get an Astrograph Sorcerer onto the board as well, and he can then search you out another Black Fang Magician. You can then scale that Black Fang Magician if you want, and you can use his effect to halve another one of your opponent's attack, or the same one. Entirely up to you. If you feel you're going for game this turn, that's what you would do, because you haven't got anything to revive back from the graveyard. So you would then go into battle phase, declare an attack with this with your Sorcerer on the one that you've halved with your previous Black Fang. Use Purple Poison's effect to destroy itself. Give an Astrograph an extra 1200, and then destroying another one of your opponent's monsters. Astrograph will then go through and do damage that way. You then get 2400 from Time Star. You've then got another 15 from Double Iris and another 18 from Joker directly. Your other option, if you didn't want to destroy your Venom, is to use Time Star Magician's effect. So you could then use, I take that back, with your second Black Fang you could use his effect again, and then use Time Star's effect to protect him instead. And in turn, you've then halved your opponent again and done even more damage. So it's definitely plausible. Let's do our final test hand, go in second, and see what we can do. So in that scenario, depending on what your opponent had, you've got 32 from Astrograph, 18 from Joker, 15 from Iris, and then 24 from Time Star. So our final 6 cards will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. Now it's entirely up to you how you would like to do the Lunar play. It depends if you want 1 or 2 on board. In this sense, you're probably better off with going with Joker. Normal summon your Joker. Joker searches you out a Wisdom Eye. Activate your Star Pendulum Graph. And then activate a Wisdom Eye and a Double Iris. Use Wisdom Eye's effect to destroy itself to set in the scales a Purple Poison. Your Star Pendulum Graph will go off to give you your Black Fang Magician. Pendulum Summon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lunar's effect goes off to search, and you might as well to get your deck thing going. If only one of these magicians were the same stats that was required, that would be horrible. Now you can go into Ignister if you want, because you've got your Luster Pendulum there. It's kind of 2 ways of going around this. You can use Lunar's effect to bounce herself and bounce one of your opponent's cards, or at least tempt them to send or protect one of their monsters on the board. It's entirely up to you on that sense. You can then use double Iris's effect if you want to destroy itself and giving one of your dark spellcasters double attack, but at the moment I wouldn't say that they're at their prime. You've used your normal summon and you've used your Pendulum summon. Ignister is probably your strongest at this particular moment in time, for the pure fact that you would then go sync these guys up, get Ignister on the board, use Ignister's effect to get your second luster from deck. Now obviously if you used, where are we? There's the second luster from deck, so you've got an easy fodder pop for Ignister there if you want. You could use some of these to go into a link summon as well, it's entirely up to you. Now we've got Wavering Eyes to clear these off, so if we use Ignister to pop luster, spin one of our opponent's cards, unless they're in a mirror match then you're spinning one of theirs anyway. You can use Luna's effect to try and bounce if your opponent wants to try and protect it or not, is entirely up to them. You could then, actually before all of that, before we use Ignister's effect, just trying to figure this one out. If we activate Wavering Eyes first, destroy Double Iris and Purple Poison, we pop one of our opponent's monsters. And then obviously Iris can give us a search, so we're going to search out the trap to be more defensive for our next turn. And then Wisdom Eye can search you out Astrograph Sorcerer. Just double check. Yep. So then you'd use Ignister's effect to destroy Luster Pendulum. And then spin one card. That in turn will then trigger Astrograph Magician, so you can special summon him from hand, and he can then search out a Double Iris or a Purple Poison. So we'll search out a Purple Poison because it'll be more effective to us right now. So we've spun one card already, we've popped another card. We then have the ability to bounce a card with Luna, activate Purple Poison because then we can give one of these a 1200 boost and pop another monster. And then if we're going all out attack, it really depends if you want the Luna back or not. It depends what type of monster they're sitting on as well. If we've spun one with Ignister, and let's say we bounce one with Luna, so we pop a back row with Ignister, we bounce one with Luna, we've popped one with the first Purple Poison that's gone off. So you've cleared 2 monsters and 1 back row. This should be enough for game anyway. So if you left our opponent with nothing, we'll be going in for 2850, 17, 18, 25, and then use Purple Poison's effect on that to give us 12. So that's 3 there, and then that's well over 5k just there. So you've got that 17 as an extra bonus. And that's with Luna coming back to hand in that sense. So that is it. That shows you how destructive and like how aggressive the Pendulums can be and defensive they can be as well. They're a very, very nice rounded deck. Just imagine what they were doing before Links, where they could kind of, you know, in that scenario we could have made an XYZ, we could have searched out more. It could have been so much more worse, but it's still a very, very strong and very, very fun deck. Anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this gives you some ideas. Tweaks are already happening with the deck. There are a couple of cards that I'd like to take out. Nothing that would affect the combos too much. Just changes for like hand traps. So take out the Dragon Pulse Magician and kind of work it around that way. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button right in the bottom left hand corner.